Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Millennials Hangout 2022. And today, my name is Eniola Olatunji. I'm a journalist in Business Day. And today we'll be discussing skills and acquisition and technology trends. So we have an amazing panel to discuss this topic. And each of the panel will be speaking for 10 minutes on what is key on their minds concerning this topic. And I'll be introducing our panel, members of our panel, starting from Ekundayo Ayeni. Ekundayo Ayeni is the co-founder of the Business Plus Agency, a digital transformation agency that provides designs and practical solutions. He has worked with different brands across the world as a digital marketer. He consults for Chivita, Leadway, Assurance, UBA, and so many other brands. Then we have Toby Obasa. Toby Obasa is a serial tech entrepreneur, a project manager, and IT service professional. We also have on our panel Dr. Modupe Adefeso Olateju. She is a recognized policy expert specializing in public-private collaboration in education and with keen interest in education innovation, foundational literacy, and numeracy. She's the managing director of the Education Partnership TEP Center. We also have on our panel Jennifer Bangura. I don't know if I pronounced that right. She's the director of career and innovation Nextport University. And we have Eyitayo Ogumola, the CEO of Utiva. So we'll be starting with Jennifer. We'll be starting with Jennifer Bangura. Jennifer, are you ready?
For the Banguras, if there are any Guineans in the house, this is we're representing Guinea. Wonderful. Thank you so much for the introduction and for having me here. I'm going to go ahead and have a brief slide deck that I'll share. I'll go ahead and share my screen over here. So I put together, a small here, and I will just go over brief introductions to myself, share a little bit about skills acquisition, some technology trends, and then I'm not sure, are we saving Q&A for the end or for per person? Do you know?
Oh, we're saving it for the end. So
okay, so then forget my Q&A there for the end. So like you said, my name is Jennifer Bangura, and I am Nextport University's Director of Career Innovation. What that means is that I spend my time identifying companies that want to invest in the upskilling and reskilling of their employees through Nextport programs. And then we have a mentorship program. Dr. Mo actually is part of it, which is wonderful, where we connect our learners and alumni and the broader Nextport community to experts in different industries to ensure that everyone is getting live, up-to-date engagement with a variety of experts in different industries. And then finally, I think about the career development and career support for our learners and alumni. And so that means that people are equipped with the tools and skills they need to pivot in their career of choice. Here's a brief slide about Nextport University, who we are, what we do, 100% online university. I'll share a copy of this after so you have it for reference. And so when I think about skills acquisition, I think about identifying what skills are actually necessary, where can you acquire them, and how do you acquire them, and then setting goals to achieve them. And then finally, iterating and continuing to improve upon them. So in 3 words that you can think about are research, acquire, and practice. And just like with career development or relationship advice, nobody can tell you what you need except you. So I can't tell you these are the skills that you need to succeed in your career. Now, if you tell me what career you are in or what career you want to be in, then we can get a little bit more granular and talk about specific skills. But in general, this was my general advice to folks about their skills acquisition. And there are a lot of different ways that you can identify what skills. So first, there's a company approach where maybe you really want to work at a specific company. And if that's the case, then there is a treasure trove usually of information on their website, in their job descriptions. This is actually how Nexford's curriculum has been developed, is by scraping over 30 million job descriptions, curating out what are the top skills that are indicated within those bullet points, and then building a curriculum based on those skill requirements. And so reverse engineering from what's required in the workplace into actually how we build our courses. You can also, something else though, so that's, if you're thinking about the technical skills that folks need. I saw a post the other day though that, thinking about more of, and I'll share a link in the chat when I'm done speaking, but thinking about your different meta skills. And so these are ones that if you said to me, what do you need to succeed in the workplace, that you would need across pretty much any industry, any job that will serve you in your work. And so those are like communication, self-awareness, time management, your ability to tell stories, which I know Teo is probably, I don't know for the whole room, but one of the best here in the room. Your grit and your ability to stick with different, what you commit yourself to, prioritization, knowing what you need to do, and then being able to put in, order what's the most important, decision making, and how to identify different elements of the decisions that you need to make, and then execute on it. Connecting the dots. This is a big one that I see, and in the workplace where you often have people come to you with a problem. And I see this, with my children, as I see it for myself in the workplace, where I think, okay, let me just chat somebody and say, here's an issue that I'm addressing. And then what I try and do is delete. Okay, here's an issue that I'm facing. And then now how can I connect the dots and take it a step further and say, what is actually the solution that I can propose, or how can I problem solve before I present, a challenge that I'm facing? And connecting the dots internally with your different departments, but also then amongst sectors or industries, and thinking, if a company is addressing a problem in one way, how could we apply those same learnings to our sector or industry? Emotional intelligence. This is so important, even in our small and tiny interactions to the larger presentations, and how impulsively we're acting, whether we're taking a moment to take a breath and think, I'm feeling upset, but before I react, I'm going to actually reflect on my action, what I'm going to be doing. Next, resilience, and thinking, doing things that you think maybe I'm not even qualified for, and being able to persist. And again, that's how oftentimes we're building our skill set, is through the act of actually experiential learning. And then finally, thinking clearly, and that being, knowing your own biases in the workplace, and in your interactions, and being able to identify what they are and clear them out of the way. So I'll share a link, and I have a source here in the presentation, but so you can check out this great post. So thinking about technology trends, admittedly, I wouldn't say I'm not a technologist, but I searched and found this McKinsey report on some interesting tech trends. What my takeaway is from this, in the article again that's linked here, is that in the next there's a futurist, Peter Diamandis, who says in the next decade that we're going to have more progress than we've seen in the combined 100 years before us. And I feel this sense of urgency and excitement around all the changes that are happening. And looking at this report makes my eyes cross a little bit, because I almost have to practice the pronunciation of some of the things listed here. But if I were thinking about, this intersection of skills acquisition and what I need to build, what skills I need to build to grow my own career, and then also what technology and the workplace is going to be requiring, I like to look at images like this just to understand, and again, for my own ability to connect the dots. And looking, they have on the bottom here the technical maturity, and on the XY axis, our industry applicability, and looking at ones that are in that top right corner that are actually existing and technically mature, and then also have an applicability immediately. And then if I was really trying to build a technical skill set, then I would maybe search some of these terms and say plus company to see what companies are actually working in this space. In reality, when I see these technology trends for my own assessment, I think there's three things that are really important. One is access. Second is affordability, and third is relevance. Because when I see charts like the one on the slide before, I think, okay, I live in Malawi, my power is out 6 hours a day, I've got 3G internet. How are those trends actually relevant for me in my current, living situation? And how are they relevant for the people who live around me? So that's something that I think we all need to keep in mind when we're thinking about different technology trends. And then finally, just to be aware of time, I want to share a link, because when I see skills acquisition, these different trends, it can get a little bit overwhelming for how to even stay organized with everything that is swirling around you. And so I always recommend to folks using a different tracker. There's a free tracker through this company, Teal, that you can list out different priority roles and functions that people are interested in, different industries, and then different companies. And you can add notes maybe in another tab, whether they reflect, what you're interested in growing for yourself, for your career. So for me, this is just a helpful, practical tool to collect all the information together. So I'll stop there. I think I'm at my 10 minutes, and thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Jennifer. So from the McKinsey slide you shared, you're saying that one should consider access, affordability, and relevance before picking a particular tech skill. That's what you're saying. We'll get back to that when it's time to answer questions. So now I would be inviting Eitayo Ogumola to give us what is key on his mind concerning the topic we're discussing this morning. Eitayo, are you with us, please? Hello, Eitayo. Okay. See, Eitayo. Okay, since Eitayo is not available right now, Dr. Modupe at Dayfesto, Ma, please, can you go through what's key on your mind, what you have to say concerning the topic at hand, the topic we're discussing?
In progress. All right, absolutely.
Good morning, Mara.
All right, fantastic. Talking about technology, well, here we are. I think the first thing to say is that it is wonderful to be here. Thank you so much for the invitation. to be part of the Millennial Hangout. You know, when I was given this topic, you know, the first thing that occurred to me was, I need to talk about my mom. I need to talk about my mom. And the reason why I need to talk about my mom is because she's quite an inspiration when it comes to thinking about skills acquisition, you know, at the time or in the place where we currently, you know, live. You know, my mom retired from the civil service when she was 50 years old. And at the time, she sat and said to herself, what am I going to do now? I've had 6 children, and all I've ever known is, you know, being a nurse. So how do I navigate, you know, the rest of my life? Do I go and set up a shop, you know, or do I do something else? And so she looked inward and she said to herself, you know what, I really love children. I think I can work with children. And that began her journey of establishing a school. And as that journey began, she allowed herself to explore other opportunities. And that was when she discovered that she was a really good entrepreneur. My mother can sell sand to people who live in the desert. That's how amazing she is as a salesperson. And today, she is conversant with many, many technology tools. She hosts her own Zoom meetings with her friends and colleagues and other people, you know, that she's known over the years. She also spends a lot of time, you know, on WhatsApp. You know, she converses eloquently via email. And the other day, she threatened that she was going to come on Instagram. She's warned me severally that Twitter is not far away from her. Now, my mother is 83, to put that in perspective, but she has not allowed herself to slow down when it comes to identifying what sort of skills are relevant, you know, for the day that she lives in. And as she says, I'm not going to be left behind. And I think that this is encouraging. It's encouraging, particularly for younger people, because it means that although the pace of the world may be moving pretty fast, there is hope that we can not only stay in relevance and in context, but we can even advance beyond what we had thought we could do. So my name is Mo Adifesolateju. I work with the Education Partnership Center based in Lagos. I also serve on the boards of organizations that are passionate, like TEP Center, about education. I serve on the board, for example, of Malala Fund, on the board of Human Capital Africa, Slum to School Africa, and on Unveiling Africa as well. Lots of Africa in there. And in addition, as Jennifer said when she was starting her brilliant presentation, I also have the distinct honor and privilege of being a mentor of the Global Grid at Nexford University. And so all of these give me the opportunity to engage with younger people, sometimes actually very young people, but also the opportunity to engage with people who are navigating their path in life, navigating a world where, as we know, the jobs that are going to be carried out in the next 5 years are really just, you know, being created. So I thought I would spend just a little bit of time taking you through some of my own thoughts. And I think you want to be on the lookout for some of the webinars that Nexford puts together, because I will be elucidating more on one of the upcoming webinars. But I did want to spend a bit of time, you know, to first of all say that it is imperative, you know, as people that are navigating the world today, that we recognize that technology cuts across barriers. So it doesn't really matter what job we're doing, you know, whether we're a nurse like my mom, an educationist like myself, whether you're a technology enthusiast, whether you're an engineer, whether you're a person who makes food, makes hair, makes clothes, technology is here to stay. it's an integral part of the life of young people, middle-aged people, older people, children. It's such an integral part of our lives, today. And there's very little we can do about it, except adapt, really. Adapt, and like my mom, continue to build your skills, and competencies. I sometimes think about the notion of where we were about 22 years ago, when I began my own career, and where we are today. I look at the level of unemployment, at the time, and I look at the level of unemployment today. In fact, when I refer to the recent statistics, it appears that youth unemployment in Nigeria has actually soared beyond 40%. And I think that what is really troubling about this is not that young people are not getting jobs, it's that young people are not equipped for the jobs that are available. There's a term a lot of people use, which I don't like. It's called unemployable. I don't believe anyone is unemployable. But the reality is that when there is a gap between the skills that you should have for the workplace, and it becomes very difficult to acquire those skills, then the reality is that one might be referred to as unemployable. And of course, when we think about the unemployment landscape, not just in Nigeria, but across Africa, one realizes that there is a need to build one's skills and competencies. When I was studying in the university for my postgraduate qualifications, there were two terminologies that we used quite a lot. We had to study them and we needed to understand them as educationists. The first was the term diploma disease, and the second is qualifications chase. Now, both of these concepts refer to the notion of thinking that just getting more and more certification alone is going to get you, to uhuru. So when people apply for jobs, they don't get those jobs. They believe, well, let me just go and get another degree. And so people begin to accumulate degrees, and sometimes it doesn't actually work. This is one of the reasons why, and shameless plug on Oxford here, one of the reasons why I love the integrated approach that they use when it comes to delivering education certification. And that is to say that, first of all, let us prepare you, for the peculiar skill that you need. So it's not just about a broad certification. It's about skills that enable you to immediately begin to work, skills that enable you to immediately begin to improve your capacity, as you work as well. And also let us connect you, for example, through the global grid. Let us connect you with each other. Let's connect you with mentors. Let's connect you with people that can help you grow, in your career. I think that as I round off, because I'm mindful that I have only 10 minutes, I think that there are three things that are quite important in terms of transformative competencies for the kind of age that we live in, and for anyone that's navigating, skills and technology, at a time like this. I think that creativity, the ability to reconcile our different dilemmas, and at the same time to take responsibility. Creativity, flexibility, agility, adaptability. Remember my 83-year-old mom. These are important skills. The truth also is that there are a lot of dilemmas that we're facing. Today, I go on LinkedIn and almost no one seems to have just one job they're doing. People talk of themselves with three different job titles or refer to three different things that they do. These are signs of the world, that we live in. People are developing multiple competencies, multiple skills. So it's really, how are you positioning yourself? And I love what Jennifer said earlier on. She said, it's important for you to research. Research the industry, research the sphere that you want to either enter into or the sphere that you want to improve your competencies in and move up the ladder in. It's important to know what skills they need and then begin to work backward. Where do I acquire those particular skills? I'm going to end on the note of open-mindedness. It is so important in the world that we live in today. I mean, 3 years ago, we would probably have had this meeting in person, isn't it? But the world has changed. The world has changed dramatically. And fortunately or unfortunately, it's going to continue to be like that. And so I think maintaining a positive attitude and telling yourself every day, I am going to build my skills, I am going to leverage tech, and I'm going to be the best that I can possibly be. I'm going to learn everything that I can learn, and I'm going to put my best foot forward. I think it starts with that open-mindedness. I think it starts with that positivity. And ultimately, when we position ourselves and we prepare ourselves, what we find is that we can take advantage of the incredible opportunities that are beginning to emerge in technology and using technology across different fields. So thank you very much for the opportunity to contribute to this. Really looking forward to hearing the other presenters and to perhaps having a question and answer session later on. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Modipe. Thank you so much. Something you said something you said really struck me, and that was technology crosses across all barriers. You're saying that even in some professions where you think that, you don't need some particular technological skills, that it crosses across every barrier. And thank you for telling us the wonderful story about your mom. She's such an inspiration. So we'll be moving on to Toby Obasa. He's the founder and CEO of Divinity Learn. It's an online platform for learning and for creating a learning community for employees for effective learning programs. So David, Toby Obasa, it's so nice to have you here. Thank you for taking your time to join us. We're just waiting to learn from you on this topic we have, and what are your takes on it? What you want to tell us about it?
Okay, thank you guys. Thank you for having me. So basically, I think for me, the journey around this whole sphere of learning tech trends started long ago. And I think for Nigeria, or for Africa as it were, it's dependent on also internet penetration, right? So, and I think that they go hand in hand, because you can't evolve or innovate faster than the basic tool for innovation, right? So there has to be the underlying infrastructure needed to support that growth or support that innovation, right? And I think that Nigeria has grown to where it is now, and that's why we're even seeing more of the acceptance and the adoption of technology tools that supports digital transformation and the other nice things, right? So basically, more mobile phones, internet is becoming cheaper, and I think it's going to get cheaper because of some of the things and the infrastructure that are in play, both from the government laying the fiber optics, and also the ISPs, that are coming up. So I'll take it from another angle, right? Everyone has talked about, from the perception of the person, that's the learner,
Yes.
or the person who wants to acquire these skills and what they should look out for and all that. But I'll take it from the, corporate angle, because the reason why they're acquiring this skill, right, especially for a young person, is to build career, is to grow, is to earn more money, and self-personal development. But where is it going to be applied? It's going to be applied in the workplace. So I think of connected skilling for workplace relevance, right? So, and when that, in discussing that, we would start looking at how companies themselves support, this skilling, right? So because there are different job descriptions, there are different tasks to be done, right? And these tasks can differ from company to company depending on the output, right? And sometimes there are jobs that require on-the-job learning, right? And how do you facilitate on-the-job learning, right? And so for me, I'm looking at how companies can even adopt technology more, right, to facilitate skill acquisition and to facilitate in further technology adoption, even in the workplace, right? I think that's very critical also to continuous learning and development for a particular talent, right? So there's the part of personal development. There's also the part of collective development for the job that you are doing, which is the responsibility of the employer, right? So I think that that also play a key role in the overall trajectory of tech trends, skill acquisition, as the case may be. So I think that corporates need to diversify. I think that they need to adopt e-learning more, especially either with micro-learning and just bit-sized learning, as the case may be. A background of what we do, we basically provide this infrastructure for companies to be able to adopt e-learning. So before now, companies always think it's cumbersome, right, to adopt the technology needed for online learning, right? So either the players abroad, or the players in the more developed markets, coming to sell these tools. And these tools are expensive. So of course, you've seen in the past years, you always add more of classroom trainings, right? To send the staff out for trainings, and all that has its own pros and cons. On the con side, you are looking at time out of work, you are looking at productivity, right? And you're not able to measure the learning, right? Most of them, you just, okay, you know what, I'm going to go and see my friend. I'm not attending. I beg, let me write my name for attendance, right? And and then you end up getting the certificate, probably not learned anything. so basically, I think that adopting technology even for corporate learning, right, is very key, especially in this part of the world. And I've seen that it's growing. I mean, Nigeria, South Africa, those are two key important markets that I've seen that rise in technology adoption. COVID has also helped to, speed, fast track things, right, where people couldn't go out for anything, right? Companies had this learning and development budget, but they can't, send anybody out for training. So a lot of companies, have started to opt for some of these tools that exist out there, the Udemy's, the Coursera, and also now looking at customized tools where they could curate their own programs that are specific to their own industry or specific to their own learning needs based on their own analysis, right? So I think that, there's the role of that corporate side in learning and development. And companies need to start looking at adopting these technologies to help online learning for workplace relevance, right? Skilling for workplace relevance. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sylvia Pastor. So you're coming from the perspective of companies playing their role in adopting technological trends. I have so many questions for you, but like when we're back to the question session. So please, Ekundayo Ayeni, CEO of Business Plus Agency, can you quickly run us through what you have in mind for us concerning the topic at hand, technology, acquisition of skills and technological trends? Hello, Ekundayo.
Okay, good morning. Apologies, guys. Yeah, so I want to say thank you for having me for this session.
Welcome.
My name is Ayene Kundayo once again, and I would say thank you for putting this together. Interestingly, I need to also run shortly. We're running a training currently with the Lagos State government, and they are coming to do spot check. So I hear they are around now to do some spot check with us.
Okay.
Yeah, so just a quick thought from my own side. So I've noticed we talked about skill acquisition and what they call it now, skill acquisition and technology.
Yes.
One thing to acquire a skill, and it's one thing to have a skill that is tradable. So a lot of people do skill acquisition. We've worked with people in Benin, in Abuja, in Kaduna, and in certain states in Nigeria. And I discovered that the perception we have about skill acquisition could be soap making. It could be some sort of skill that cannot be traded over the internet entirely. And not like I'm saying the things they're doing is wrong, but I'm just saying that some of those skills may just be a terrestrial skill. It may not be a skill that can be used to acquire the kind of wealth we are looking at and the kind of opportunities we want to access. And it's good that we're talking about technology trends along with it. So there is a saying that goes like, in the digital economy, there is zero unemployment. And for you, that you're acquiring the skill, what is the purpose of the skill? Why at this time are you looking at acquiring the skill? There are certain skills that are on demand, some skills are in the future, and some skills are not applicable to your contemporary society. So you're looking at first getting your math right, that, okay, what skill do I need to acquire now that will be necessary to take me from point A to point B, and then I can pivot to other things I want to do with my life. So in our skill acquisition design, what I usually advocate for is that the first thing you need to do is to look at a skill that is on demand, that is acquirable and can be traded over the internet. So for example, we run cohorts of about 100 people every month, literally, funded by GIZ, Lagos State, different people. And we notice that we have 80% job match, or minimum. The minimum we have is 80% job match. So we only have 20% loss. And those 20% over 3 months actually gets a skill, an opportunity, or a job. And then what is their long-term impact? So if you look at the trainings we've done 2 years ago, in terms of digital skills, they have the opportunities on the bench now. So if you go into our pool and we ask for people, okay, there are certain skills that you don't find people who lack, who have those skills lack opportunities, going to maybe the UI UX, going to graphic design, digital marketing, and all of that. People who have such skills really lack opportunities, except they are not strategic. Now, the next layer to the conversation is to look at certain skills that may not be traded over the internet, but are of high demand. So we talk about the guy who fixed my AC, learned his skill, and then why do I give him my AC to do? Is that when he comes to my office to install AC for me, the guy gives me the whole calculation number of units that can be consumed by the electricity, would advise me on the kind of AC to use for this size of room. This is the convention. If you place it this way, the AC will not circulate. It gives me some insights better than the regular Baba help me hang AC. So you will discover that that kind of person would give you a better output because he's been trained, he understands the technicalities behind it. So now it's for him to leverage technology, understand the technological trends, and then maybe develop an LMS around what he's doing, and then teach other people on a larger scale. Now, that's, I would maybe just cap it because we also do constructions, and then I discovered that my plumber will come and do some design on paper. Because if you can't give me something that is logical, I may not be able to relate with you effectively as the common man. And then you want to use that skill to at least have some level of breakthrough. If I will use the Nigerian linguistics, some level of breakthrough, some level of opportunity and access. So you're a welder. Those are skills that may not be traded over the internet instantly, but in your local environment, start looking at things you can take advantage of. So beyond the fact that you must start looking at skills that can be traded over the internet, which is your technology trends, you should also look at skills that are on high demand and off demand, especially in your contemporary society. You can't say you're developing or acquiring a skill that will be in demand in the US or in Canada when you're still in Nigeria. It's a lot of struggle for you to cross that hurdle. So I would just say thank you for having me. That's my 2 kobo, and that's my little thoughts. May need to run. My apologies. The spot on check it's about to start, so I don't
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, especially because she said it's somehow connects with what Dr. Mujukwe said about how technology courses across all jobs. And like citing the example of your AC technician about how he's able to give proper details about his own work, which sets him apart from like regular other artisans. You mentioned, I want to ask you a quick question since you are going to go off the call. You mentioned that there are some skills that requires internet, but there's some skills that do not require internet, but like they still have some sort of technology in it. So are you saying that irrespective of what you are doing or where you find yourself or like whatever occupation you're doing, you should find a way to involve technology or just evolve it a bit? Is that what you were trying to say when you cited the example of your technique?
Yes. So no matter the kind of skill that you have, try to form a base.
Oh, can you hear him?
To teach people over the internet and do some
I
other.
think, sorry, I think your network stopped a bit, so we did not.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, you didn't hear all of that. Okay. So I'm saying that no matter the kind of skill that you have, try to look for a way to trade it over the internet. Try to create a leverage for yourself on the internet on how to sell, how to get it out there, and how to also promote it. Like the guy who is my AC technician also has some other channels on the internet, Facebook, and all of that that he uses to engage people for what he's doing, and then also provide some level of customer service over things like as WhatsApp and all of that, basic things that makes technology work for you in your skill sets.
Thank you so much, Dio. Thank you. We're so glad to have you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye. So to our attendees, you can send in questions that you might like to ask any of our panelists. I have some questions I would like to ask them. Like you could also send in questions that you would like to ask any of our panelists. Sherry, please, is Tile back on? Okay, so since all of our panelists, thank you so much. You guys have said amazing things, and now we're going to the question and answer session. And my first question is directed towards Dr. Mujube. So as how do I go about this? Okay. So I would like to ask you, Madam, what has become, how important is skill acquisition and technological trends across all age groups, especially for like the younger generation? You earlier cited an example of your mom and how she, despite her age, she's always trying to evolve. She's always trying to like know what is happening, what is going on. Always keep like she's on top with everything going on. But like, how important like is it for like all age group, from children to young adults to like old people? But my concern is for like the younger age group. Like, how do you see them leveraging this? How important is it for the younger age group?
Okay. So I would say, that understanding the role of technology and the place that technology, the critical place, that technology, is found, which is actually everywhere, is critical for all age groups. Now, there's a term that's often used for people that are considered millennial and younger, and we refer to them as digital natives. And in a sense, it is that notion of being born into a world, with the proliferation of tech, a world in which processes have been standardized using technology, workflows are carried out, using technology platforms. I think that with younger people, there is a sense in which you don't necessarily have to lecture them to understand what technology is. They are born into a world, with tech. I think, however, for me in the kind of work that I do, I do have serious concerns, about the digital divide, particularly for children that live in under-resourced communities, children that live in many, parts of Africa, and don't have the sort of access, to tech. Because what is happening is that, there's a yawning divide between them and other young people in other parts of the world. And so I think that it's critically important, and I must mention that because of the kind of work that I do, that all hands really have to continue to be on deck to bridge that gap, to think about different types of technology solutions that help children learn. Because in the first instance, children are building foundational skills. Without those foundational skills in literacy, in numeracy, it's very difficult, for them to acquire other skills. So whether we use the tech to teach them or whether we are teaching them tech, it's important that, there's a concerted effort, to close that gap. So I think that that's the perspective that I like to focus on, is on, how we can continue to innovate in a way that is cost efficient, in a way that is not necessarily too high tech, but can be low tech, but ultimately is serving the aim of ensuring that we're bridging that gap. But altogether to say that, digital natives, are young people, a lot of young people are digital natives. You don't have to preach tech to them. It's really just about, supporting them to understand where to position themselves and how to build the skills that they need for the sort of careers that they want to grow. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. You mentioned some organizations that you work with, and is there any that try to bridge any of these gaps to acquire some of these skills that is really needed for the young people?
Yes, I mean, at TEP Center, we carry out a number of programs. We implement a number of programs. I think our Learn Nigeria is, one that, is, somewhat popular because what we're doing there is, first of all, collecting data. We're collecting data on children's, foundational literacy and numeracy skills. And that data is important because it's collected at the level of the household. So it's collected from children at home, where we can also talk to the parents, collect data from the parents, and come to a clearer understanding of what the barriers are for children in terms of developing their competencies. Recently, we implemented a program called Zomukoyatari, and we started this during the pandemic via a grant from google.org. And what we were doing was to experiment to determine whether children in low resource communities could learn and build foundational skills using technology that is considered low tech. And so what we did was to implement a program focusing on SMS technology. So simply sending curated SMSs to parents in very rural communities of Kano. And parents and caregivers were receiving those SMSs. We were using that to track the progress of the children, and we accompanied the SMSs with books, with workbooks, that the children and their caregivers could use. And so in that sense, we were simply, delivering content through caregivers, many of whom are not, highly educated, as you can imagine, in rural Kano. And at the end of 8 weeks, we saw a 15% growth in children's capacities when it came to foundational literacy and numeracy. And this is within the context of the pandemic. As TEP Center, we had, almost zero direct contact with these children. It was working through caregivers and parents who are not trained educators. So I think that the possibilities are immense when we think about how we can, bridge the gap using technology, but also how we can teach technology skills as well. And I'm really excited because we have some of those innovators here in the room today. Of course, we also have the Nexford University, which is committed, to helping to bridge that gap, as well, because some of the programs and courses, that they offer exactly what is required, to help young people and even older people move up the ladder of skill. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Jennifer, I want to ask you some questions. Jennifer, you mentioned something about access, affordability, and relevance when trying to pick a skill. And someone in the chat box, Oludari Fagbemi asked, it says, how do we bridge the gap in affordability and availability in skill acquisition, most especially for unemployed youth in Africa endemic with poverty? Did you get a question?
I see in the Q&A. I see, yes. Great, I have that. Thank you. I mean, this is a big, let's see, big opportunity for folks to overcome. I'll just say briefly, like that's what our mission is at Nexford, is to build socioeconomic mobility through a low cost. Our programs are $90 a month up through undergrad, and then $180 for the MBA. And I'm sorry, I'm getting my internet is unstable, so I'll try and be stable. But I would say first, so really do as much research you can through free resources. So for me, LinkedIn is the place that I will go. I mean, I'm there all day, every day. I follow everyone who is on this panel if I'm not already connected with them, because they are consistently sharing, for me, my own learning, insights on what, and I'm sorry, the man who he dropped off, who was in the car, like, yeah, you can see what skills are needed maybe in another country, but actually knowing what is necessary and relevant for where you live, where you are. For that, you have to really do your own research and think about, like, what are the companies around me that I want to work for? And now what we're seeing and we're anticipating is the trend toward global remote work and being competitive and eligible for opportunities that might not be in the country where we're living. So I would say to continually be adding to your own toolbox by exploring free, if there's free training that you can find on different platforms. If there are webinars, I mean, this is even a part of people's professional development, is connecting with other folks in the space that you're interested in. That's the thing, so that you could build it up toward a potential job or opportunity.
Sorry, Jennifer, can you run us through the?
And I think
your internet keeps. Can you run us through the last few things you said, because it wasn't really clear?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's fine.
Over to another. How is it now?
Yes, it's better.
Better.
So yes, you were saying people should do research.
Well, like specifically, and I would, if I was the person asking, I would want to be like, okay, what are the actual practical ways that we can bridge, and not just like this theoretical of doing research. So what I would do is every week there are webinars like this happening on different topics in different industries. Find out and think about what, where do I, either it could be where do I want to work by company, or what, position do I want to have by function or role or, skill focus. And then get very specific on who are the experts, who are 5 people, either from that company or from that industry, that I can follow on LinkedIn, on Twitter, to, is my connection still choppy?
No, it's fine.
Okay, to continue to grow passively my own knowledge, because once you start following those people on different social media channels, you're building your own expertise, or you can make social media work for you. and then make a note. Like, and again, I love using TechCrunch or Business Day, I'm sure, following companies who are raising money, seeing what jobs, when anyone is raising money, any company, the vast majority of what they're putting that money toward is hiring people. So I want to then go look at that website, see what positions they're hiring for, follow the founder, follow other people who work there. And this is where too, it's so helpful to have sometimes an informational interview. And then mind you, these are all things that don't cost anything but an internet connection, which, you know, depending on how expensive your internet is, like ours is going down here in Malawi, which is good. But that doesn't cost anything. And the, like, one of the best, again, Teo and I don't know, I think he's dropped off. He was the last person I met in person before COVID on March 8th of 19 in COVID or 2020?
Oh.
I met him, he was in the US. He had reached out. We wanted to meet each other. You know, he wanted to learn about my work. I wanted to learn about his. That's an informational interview. We had no purpose behind it really, other than like, let's connect, see what's happening. Years later now, how many, it's, you know, we bump into each other online all the time. So how can you build opportunities like that for yourself? How you do it is find interesting people that you want to connect with and reach out to them, be thoughtful, ask them questions, you know, say, oh, it's great to see Dr. Mo, you know, your recent participation in the Business Day Nigeria panel. I love what you're doing at the TEP Center. And I would love to know more how I can help contribute to, you know, youth skill building in Nigeria and globally, whatever it is that, you know, I think that's the thing too, that through, and I'm of course bringing my career development lens on this, but it doesn't take much to set yourself apart from other people in a job search or in networking.
Yeah.
But the little that it takes, people don't do. So you customize your invitation and, you know, listen to the podcast they've been on, reference it. Things like that are small, but it's like when you host people at your home and you light candles, or, you know, you put out your nice plates and your nice napkins, and you take that extra effort to put the nice final touches. I think if you apply the same thing to your networking, it can help ultimately, you know, with your own skills acquisition down the line.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jennifer. I personally believe in all of the things you mentioned, because I already followed you this morning on Instagram. I checked everybody up. I wanted to know everybody that was going to be on a panel. I personally believe you should try to find people that are doing great things in what you're trying to learn. Follow them on different social media, the Twitter, they give 1 or 2 tips, follow webinars, look for free courses where you can learn these skills and all of that. Thank you so much, Jennifer. Thank you.
May I share one more thing? Because I think
Yes.
you made a great point there on like, you know, I was thinking LinkedIn, but like Instagram has been a very surprising way for me to, like I was following an incubator, like a tech incubator. They mentioned this company, and then I went and followed them on LinkedIn. I found the founder. All of your like following and your passive following, sometimes you can take it to the next level. And how can you actually then get instead of just consuming the content, how can I now reach out to the founder, reach out to this person, reach out to that to build my connection? And I know it can be uncomfortable for people. So take your baby steps, and but ultimately, and now it's great on LinkedIn, you can just follow people. So I just find so many rich insights from the posts people share, and I encourage others to.
Very, 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 very true. You could just tailor your social media towards things you want to learn. And the thing about Instagram is once you feed on one thing, it begins to give you more and more of that kind of thing. So thank you so much, Jennifer. That was really, really insightful. To Toby or Bassar, so you took another angle to our discussion, especially towards the corporate, the parts that corporate organizations have to play in this in acquiring skills, technological skills, and all of it. And you particularly spoke about upskilling their employees and using e-learning. I've been opportunity to work as an HR before, so I really understand what you're talking about e-learning and how it is way more convenient than going for like physical learning classes, and it is more efficient. So I was going to ask you, like once I saw you on the panel, I was going to ask you that how companies, like how open are they to facilitating and upskilling their staffs? How open are they to like trying to make their staffs better? Like how open, since you are in this business, how open are they, and what do you have, what do you like what advice would you have for companies in doing this?
Okay, thank you, Eniola. So basically, I think companies are trying. I think even on our part, there has to be more work in reaching out and pushing. So, for example, we currently serve a number of organizations at Difton Learn. We serve some of the banks and some of the tech companies, even some startups, and we've seen that it's increasing, right? The adoption, and people are seeing the need, right? In fact, people are seeing developing their own content, right? So we help also these companies author and create their own e-learning content specific to what they want, right? So they just dump the raw slides on us, and then we convert it into a beautiful digital learning tool that they can interact with. So basically, it's increasing. I think it's a combination of multiple factors. They don't want the stress of and the bureaucracy associated with it. So because typically what had existed before was that, these providers, right, that existed abroad brings this tool, IT has to look at it, or they have to deploy on physical servers, and then all that bureaucracy, IT says, no, I don't think we can do this. HR says, no, this is what we want, and then there's this back and forth in the whole process, and probably the ball is dropped at some point. So basically our approach was to make it easy, right? Plug and play, the same way we're using the Zoom, right? You can just click set up in minutes, you're provisioned, you try it out, 14 days, trial. Basically a SaaS model, right? Software as a service model. And that has worked, right? We've seen that has increased the uptake that necessarily HR can start using without even having to deal with the bureaucracy. And, it's just made things easier for everybody, right? So less infrastructure management on the IT. You don't have to think about how do we support this? It's already supported, in terms of technical support. You don't have to think about that. You just pay for what they use, right? So all those are the things that would help in aiding adoption, and also creating good content, right? Learning content, future of work related content, digital transformation related content. I remember we did a work for one of our clients, a bank, that needed to upskill about 5,000 staff on digital transformation, ranging from different courses, right? So we had to develop that modules and put that on their LMS, on their e-learning platform. So basically, I think it's good, right? It can be more, and there's ample room for growth. Also partnering with companies like Nextford, who are already doing mainstream learning for degrees and other academic related content, right? A lot of people in the corporate space also are looking at, earning these degrees, masters and the likes, right? While working, right? So, and cheaper too. So those are some of the things also, I think, the use cases and value adds that can be, added to the corporate learning market. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. So I have another question. So what have you noticed amongst like how welcoming? So say the organizations play their role and provide these facilities, how earlier Dr. Modupe mentioned something about degree disease, or when people keep like acquiring more and more degree.
Yeah.
But now, like the world is moving towards skills acquisition and like gaining more skills rather than degrees. You understand? So how diploma disease, yes. So how would I say welcoming, but how have people reacted to taking like learning more skills, especially employers? Are they very open to like be better on the job? Are they very open to learning more skills that would like fast track their career development? And also the model with which you run your e-learning facility, what how do I put it? So how do you ensure that they really, unlike maybe like you said it before, that they could just, if it was a physical event, they could just easily sign attendance and leave? How do you ensure that they really got 100% from what they are learning?
Yeah, cool. Thank you. I mean, very valid questions. So basically, the first one, I would say that, when you say skill acquisition, right, at the point of doing the work, there are only two ways to validate a skill. Either by experience, meaning you have done something similar to the role, right, before, or you have a form of certificate to show that you've acquired it. And then it's left to the employer to decide to test that out, right? So I think that certificate or certifications are not going anywhere. I think that basically, especially Nigeria is a certificate conscious country. I think that employers will still demand to see some sort of endorsement or certificate of some sort. So if you say you're a project manager, right? Fine, I get that, right? Either you have the experience to show that you're a project manager or a product manager, or you've gone to like a product school, or you've gone to like a TIVA. I've seen some certificates, you've done some training. I've seen that you are a PMP certified person, or, I've seen some sort of validation that says, okay, indeed, you've invested time and some resources to this particular skill set that shows that you indeed might know what you're doing or saying, right? So, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a degree or academic approach, right? Skill set acquisition, right? There are a lot of skills that already have some sort of testing and validation associated with it, right? Especially in the tech industry, right? If I'm a network engineer, there's some things I can take to validate my skill set and I get a certificate for it. And there are various skill sets like that, right? For even various industries. So yes, that will still stay, right? But not necessarily academic, right? I'm more of a skill set person. I'm more of a validation certification kind of person that shows, okay, yes, you indeed might know what you're saying if you don't have the experience, right? So on the flip side, to the other question, which is how do you know they are using? That's the beautiful thing about technology, right? You can't lie or you can't fake it, right? It's what you put in that the system puts out. So if you don't spend the number of hours required for learning, if you don't hit the threshold for scoring or for passing, the system won't pass you or issue a certificate of completion, right? So all those built-in automated algorithms, right, that ensures that you can track a learner's progress, right, is in place. So basically, it's easier for HR to monitor and says, oh, you've not completed, oh, you failed, you did like 3 trials, right? I can see from my backend that you tried this 2 times, right? Or I can see you didn't even start at all. And HR, for example, on our platform, you can measure procrastination, right? Average procrastination across your organization, meaning if I assign a course to an organization, how late do your people start that course, right? If I assign today, does it take them 3 days or 4 days for them to even begin? I can measure that learning aptitude or that proactive nature to learning in the organization. So a lot of things technology has helped to achieve, and it makes it simple. Nobody can say, oh, I did it, I didn't do. It's there, right? So that has helped to cover all that. And so technology is, it's very important. It's in the future, basically, right? Physical training will still happen, right? It can be removed. So what we are even seeing is more of like an hybrid approach first, right? It will move from and physical, people who are used to the traditional training classroom, bringing in a facilitator and all that. It will move from there to an entirely pure e-learning thing. It's going to be hybrid for a long time. And then gradually, as the maturity of the organization increases, then they can switch to a pure online approach.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So I would like to ask our attendees again if they have any question they might like to ask. This any question anybody wants to ask. Okay. There are no questions. I just want to say thank you to every member of our panelists. You did an amazing job explaining this so much. So my take is do proper research about the skills you want to develop, its affordability, its how much of it is required, be flexible, learn, network. So organizations, they should try to upskill their employees. I've learned so much, and I hope every other person too has learned so much. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Dr. Modupe. Thank you, Obasa. Thank you, Mr. Ikudaya, that left the video. And this is Millennial Hangouts. We look forward to seeing you in next month in our next edition. Thank you so much for attending. Have a wonderful day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.